Welcome to the Pink Floyd Collectors News Roundup for March 2022. We start with a bit of a follow-up from Russia's invasion of the Ukraine, which happened towards the end of February on the 24th. David Gilmour was the first to speak out on this with a message that he put up via his various social media channels. His daughter-in-law is Ukrainian, so this is particularly heartfelt for him. So he put out a message to tell Russians, stop killing your brothers, in regard to the fact that, there's a lot of mutual families living in both Russia and the Ukraine. He also put a link to his video, In Any Tongue, the fantastic Danny Madden animated video. So he was the first to speak out. A few days later, Pink Floyd put up a message to confirm that they had actually removed all of their songs from digital music providers in both Russia and Belarus. So just to confirm, anything post 1987, so the Pink Floyd 1987 copyright, that has all been removed, and David Gilmour's solo songs and albums. Nick Mason was the next person within Pink Floyd to speak out on what was happening in Russia and Ukraine. He confirmed that all shows that were planned for this summer in Russia had now been cancelled. He also said that the band's support was with the people of Ukraine. So no shows will now take place in Russia. There were none planned for Belarus. Roger Waters first spoke out about the conflict via the website braveneweurope.com. Here he asked that we looked at all the war-profiting gangsters around the world, not just Russia. He also, via his social media channels, had an exchange with Alina. She is a 19-year-old living in Ukraine, and she'd written to Roger Waters asking for him to state his opinion on what was going on in her country. Via a couple of exchanges, it got quite deep, and Roger made his opinion very heartfeltly. I would certainly recommend checking it out. I will include the links in the comment section here. The March the 4th release of the Pink Floyd album A Piper at the Gates of Dawn in mono went ahead, and then within a couple of days, Pink Floyd mentioned that their next album, the Saucerful of Secrets, was also going to be released in mono format. That will be next month on the 29th of April. It was released previously back in 2019 as a record store day release. But again, much like Piper, it was released in limited numbers, this time only 6,500. So again, this is being released on a bit more of a global scale, so everybody can get a copy. A year after releasing EMI Tapebox Folio Side 1, Abbey Rd Studios have announced that they are sending out Side 2. So you can purchase that at the Abbey Rd website, and that's basically completing from Side 1 last year. This is the folio as via the pictures here, and I'll put in the comment section so you can actually watch a video and see proper purchase details. As part of the Made in Britain series, Sotheby's had 4 Gerald Scarfe paintings appear at auction. In fact, 2 were oil paintings and 2 were ink drawings with some watercolour. 2 in the end sold, details above, and 2 remain unsold. On the 15th of March, Roger Waters released a new version of Wish You Were Here, which he dedicated to Julian Assange. The song was a live version done in the studio with some of his band members, including John Carrin and Jonathan Wilson. It's definitely worth checking out. I'll put it in the links. Battersea Power Station have now announced that from September this year, you will be able to travel up one of the smokestacks, giving you a view over London. This is part of a touring package that will mention Pink Floyd and the Animals photo shoot. On the 10-year anniversary since the Douglas Adams 60th birthday bash in London, you can now watch the Gary Brooker performance. Gary sadly passed away in February, but you can watch his live performance back then performing one of Douglas Adams' favourite tunes, Whiter Shade of Pale. The song features David Gilmour on guitar, and actually a brilliant solo, so definitely worth checking out. Sadly, his performance, where he performs Wish You Were Here acoustically, hasn't yet been released, but we know it exists. It's just waiting for it to come out, so maybe soon. The Doctor, also known as Matt, over at Brain Damage, the definitive Pink Floyd radio show, has uploaded a new podcast called War Torn. Matt himself has had a tough month. He's lost both his job and a close friend, but unselfishly, he's thinking about the people suffering in Ukraine. He's used his knowledge to dig into the Pink Floyd catalogue and solo artists and put together a great show, beautifully produced as always, and really found some songs that make you think about what's going on in the world and how others are suffering. Thanks for all you do, Matt. Harry Waters took to social media to proclaim his shock at the death of Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for the Foo Fighters. Harry had in fact been working with him up until recently on an album that will still come out by NHC, that's the band name, so we'll look out for that. Taylor had been seen on stage with Roger Waters a few years ago, performing with the Foo Fighters, the Pink Floyd song In the Flesh. So truly shocking news, dead at only 50. Nick Mason has now rescheduled his North American tour for later this year, so that will now go ahead in October, November. Roger Waters has also added 3 extra dates to his tour, Columbus, Glendale and Austin, so it certainly looks like both tours look set to go ahead. Roger Waters also announced at this year's Mahmood Darwish Award ceremony via a video link that he intends to tour Europe in 2023. So that's the first time that's been confirmed. So it certainly looks like after the last 2 years of uncertainty, live music will go ahead. Hollywood actor Brad Pitt has confirmed that he will reopen Studio Miraval later this year. The studio was, of course, used by Pink Floyd back in, I think it was around 78, 79, certainly before The Wall came out, to finish off their recording and while they were on tax exile. The Miraval Chateau is also famous for producing the Pink Floyd wine a couple of years ago. I know a lot of us tasted it back then, a rather fine rosé. But yeah, great news for the studio, and it looks like it's going to become fully operational later this year. And finally, some news from ourselves. We've set up a Spanish YouTube channel. So this will be dedicated to our Spanish followers. And this is with a massive thanks to Sergio Reyes. He's going to do the translations and upload the audio. It's called Pink Floyd Coleccionistas. Excuse the bad pronunciation, but I know we get a lot of Spanish followers, and this is something that was requested, and I'm really hoping we can pull it off. Thank you, Sergio, for your help.